And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Plz here on cynicalbrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is the 26th of March, 2010. It is 8 p.m. GMT. It is 4 p.m. Eastern because you've got this crazy thing going on that I don't really fully understand, therefore I'm not going to attempt to. And I am broadcasting live. And if you are not listening live, then I suppose I'm not broadcasting live. Then again, I am in the past. I was broadcasting live. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, going to do everything in the past tense. So I was here and I was welcoming you to the show. And then I was going to tell you what exactly was coming up in the show today. But of course, since that's already happened, you don't really need to be told. That makes, well, no. I don't know. It could make sense. Don't judge me. It's not my fault that you guys are stuck in the past or the future or whatever other crazy time continuum that I am not in. The one true time is right here in this room. Everyone else is fake. I will have nothing else said on the matter. What have I got coming up for you in the show today, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I can tell you I have the power. So, what's happening? Stuff. Going to be talking about WoW. So I've been told that seems to be the way of things right now. I have this crazy new hat. If you are not in the live video chat, you can head on over cynicalbrit.com, click the chat button at the bottom of the screen. Alternatively, if you are not into this high-tech stuff, go to the IRC chat, click the chat button at the top of the screen, or point your favourite client to irc.quakenet.org. That is # or #cynicalbrit. Yes, indeed, that's the place to go. Studio cam is on, suit is on, hat is on, and my shirt's purple. Yes, you heard it. Damn right. What's going on in the show today, folks? So, I like to talk about how much I suck at Sindragosa and how I should die for it. Ladies and gents, I would like to know where the hell the lethal boss mechanics are in normal modes and why exactly they thought taking it out would be a good idea. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on the show. Also, the WoW TCG has changed hands. Was it any good to begin with? We're going to talk about that as well. Used to be big into WoW TCG, if you remember. I used to do On the Cards. Yes, On the Cards was quite fun. I enjoyed it. We'll be talking about the fate of the WoW TCG a little bit later. Also, I don't have to have you in my group. There's no such thing as abusing the kick system, both old and new. And no, gear scores should not be banned, you idiots. Various changes have been made to the kick system. People still cry and whine and squeal. So, when is it right to kick somebody from your group? Indeed, is there ever a time when it's wrong to kick someone from your group? We're talking about that kind of morality, if it even exists, and I certainly do not believe that it does. And your chance to contribute to the show, ladies and gents, the illusion of choice. Yes, indeed, sharing your illusions of choice here on Blue Plz. It's good stuff. Email in, themurloc@cynicalbrit.com. That is the Murloc@cynicalbrit.com if you wish to contribute to the show. Now, I must apologise. I am a little bit congested today, a little bit of sinus pain. Trying to go to the doctor next week to get that sorted out. Thank you, NHS. I'm not going to have to pay thousands of pounds to do that. But it is kind of annoying, needless to say. So you're just going to have to deal with it, and so am I. I may be drinking more than usual this show to deal with it. Good stuff. I think we've waited long enough, or have we? Well, no, we have not. I've got a couple of things to announce before we go on. So, those of you who love video game music will love the fact that we've got Alexander Brandon, the composer behind such amazing tracks, and, of course, games such as Deus Ex and Unreal Tournament. Yes, his stuff is incredibly famous. He's going to be coming on the show at some point in the very near future. Also, happy to announce Cold Storage, the guy behind Wipeout, as well as many other tracks, is going to be coming on the show in the not-too-distant future. I do have an exclusive cut from Alexander Brandon's new album out right now on his website, alexanderbrandon.com. Going to play that for you a little bit later on the show, and of course, since we asked permission, we're going to put it in for the podcast listeners as well. It's going to be very cool indeed. So yeah, there you go. Cool interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. Keep an eye on cynicalbrit.com as well as twitter.com/cynicalbrit for more information. Ladies and gents, the eternal, the immortal, the amazing, time for this. No, try again. Time for this.
Mail time. That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed. Time for mail, folks. And as always, you can email in themurloc@cynicalbrit.com. That is the Murloc@cynicalbrit.com if you have something to say. That applies to everybody. You can do it whenever you like, if you wish. Yes, indeed. Right, so let's get right on with it, shall we? Here's one from Ragavale. It's an interesting topic, I feel. Let's check it out. Hello, TB! Where, in your opinion, is the line between raid or not to raid? For instance, let's say two of your best friends knock on your door 15 minutes before raid time. Do you simply tell them to go home, or do you say to your guild that you have other important matters to attend to? Where do you draw the line between RL and raid if you signed up and told your guild that you will be there? And a sneaky shout out to Mr. Jacobs. How dare you! I'm shocked and appalled. Right, okay. So. God, bloody nose. Do I have anything I can use? No, I don't think Tipex is a good idea. That is actually very, very toxic. Don't do drugs, kids. Right, so. Good question, that, really. Here's the thing. Raid and RL. Generally speaking, I say RL always comes first. But bear this in mind. If you're scheduling your life, then you can't have someone randomly come around and interrupt it. It's as simple as that. If you were doing... Here's an example. Say you were at home with the missus and you had a night in planned and you had all this stuff scheduled, and suddenly two friends show up at the door demanding that you go and do something else. What do? Well, the obvious answer is you don't go with them. You tell them, sorry, I'm busy tonight, off you go. The point is, you've got plenty of time, and reasonable friends will understand that you work on a schedule, and they can't just hang around whenever the hell they feel like it. And for God's sake, that was the kind of nonsense that you dealt with in school. You know, let's go around something's house. Yeah, when you're 12 years old, that's acceptable, but not when you're an adult. I'm very busy. I've got tons of stuff to do. So if I've got a night of stuff, say I've got to maybe put some videos together, do stuff like that, maybe if I've got all of that scheduled, or maybe I just want a night in, I want to play some PS3, and I want to watch some Blu-rays, and stuff like that. Maybe I just want to do that. And if random friends show up and say, hey, want to do this? I will most likely politely say no. Why? Because I already have something planned that I'd rather be doing. I have time to go out with my friends. It's scheduled. Just like anyone's real life is if you're very busy. It might sound a bit sad, but I'm sorry, I'm busy. I don't have the time to deal with that nonsense. It's the same reason why I don't answer random chat requests all the time on the internet. Like, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm busy. I have other things I need to be doing. I can't deal with you right now. Tell me why exactly that's unreasonable. It's not, is it? So, why does it make a difference if you have scheduled a raid or if you have scheduled time with the missus? There is no practical difference. Sure, one is most likely far more entertaining and far more socially acceptable. And indeed, if you have to choose, then you should choose the misses. But at the end of the day, if you have something scheduled versus something unscheduled, you should always take the schedule. Friends are friends, they will come around a different time. What is the problem? I don't see the problem. Where's the problem? No? Now, some people will tell me that I'm just being a Spurge Lord, I am being immature, I'm being a WoW addict. No. The point of playing WoW in a sensible, casual, and grown-up manner is to schedule your time to make sure it doesn't interfere with your real life. That works both ways, folks. That means your real life doesn't interfere with your scheduled time. For anything. At all. Anything. That's the point. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have something scheduled at home, you can't just have something randomly come along and say, oi, let's go do this, unless it's important. You know, obviously there are things that are important, but at the end of the day, it's social activity, it's playtime one way or the other. So why does it matter where that playtime occurs? It's a good question, and that is my simple answer to that. However, if you're given the choice, say, for instance, you know in advance, you've got to pick in advance between playing the game or going out with friends. Which are you going to do? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you'd be very, very foolish not to go out with your friends. The point is that playing any game like this, and a lot of people don't believe this, and it's very sad that they don't understand how this works. You schedule your time and you balance it and do everything in moderation. Okay, I rate 7 hours a week, but I also do a bunch of other stuff. That's fine. That is entirely healthy. I have no issues with that. No one else has any issues with that. Why would they? Explain that to me. There's no good reason. No explanation whatsoever. I don't have a problem with it. That's how I think you should conduct your life, ladies and gentlemen, in a responsible manner. Schedule out your time, and anyone that mucks with your schedule can be pushed down well. Yes. Okay, maybe not. Actually, no. Push them down damn well. I hate people that mess with my schedule. Bloody disgraceful. Right, what else have we got in the mailbox, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's funnily enough that we were actually discussing the idea of RL, because I've got Ollie here, who has emailed me in. He's now an arena master, apparently. Very impressive. So, he used to hang around in my store when I used to work a game a long time ago when I was a student. And apparently he was talking about how awesome Fellstraker was. Right, really, I don't actually remember that, but hey. So, anyway, he was writing an email to say congrats on the site and the progress. I do listen to all the podcasts, and it's really good, blah, blah, blah. Yes, compliments, very much appreciated. Now, he says, I recently made a mage, and truth be told, I've not grasped casters yet, although I can easily pump out twice as much damage as Arcane over Frost any day. I find it odd that people would want to choose Frost over another talent tree, other than for PvP, which is entirely understandable. But even then, some of the most high-ranking teams have Arcane Mages for the insane burst damage capacity. Yes, they do. Other than that, block the text over, blah, 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 keep up the awesome work, and congratulations. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It comes down to what is optimal versus what is your personal preference. Ooh, personal preference? Big frickin' deal. Honestly, play what is good. At the end of the day, the class plays relatively similar one way or the other, especially when it comes to a mage. And I'm not talking about the difference between an arms Titan's Grip warrior and a prot warrior. Those are two completely different playstyles. Mage is damage or damage. It's like, I throw blue thing, or I throw red thing, or I throw sort of bluey red thing. Okay, what the hell's the difference? There isn't one. Simple as that. Even the pet doesn't make it all that different, because it's always on auto-attack anyway. You don't use the pet's functionality in a raiding counter. It's an auto-frostbolt that. Okay, there you go. Problem solved. This is not a different playstyle, folks. It's just a different coloured attack. In raiding, there is really nothing useful about it. We're not talking about slowing bosses with frostbolts. You can't do it. No, you can't. It's just not even possible. So, why do you care? That's the main component of Frost. It doesn't matter in raiding at all. Oh no, I use Blizzard. Okay, so that's a bit different to the other AoEs. Barely. So you get to stand still a little bit more often. Whoopity frickin' do. Who cares? Honestly, why would you play that playstyle when it's non-optimal? Feel free to play it when it's optimal. I have no issue with Frost per se. I have an issue with people that pick suboptimal specs. L2P, ladies and gents, if you decide that that's a good idea. Simple as that. My name is TotalBiscuit, you're listening to Blue Plz, here on CynicalBrit.com. I am going to play a track for Jen's birthday. Ariana, aka Jen. Yes, indeed, it's her birthday today, so congratulations. I'm going to play something by Synarcta Arctica. It's called In Black and White, and I'll be right back after this to tell you how much I suck at Sindragosa. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. And now for the latest in raiding news. A union of all the bosses in Northrend is protesting outside of Azeroth's highest court, demanding that a huge number of guilds be banned for what they called leet hacks. We spoke to the leader of the group, Mr. Putricide, who had this to say. Terrible news, everyone! We're getting steamrolled on a weekly basis by thousands of guilds, and it's all because of UGT Ventrilo servers. Crystal clear, low-latency voice-over IP allows guilds to communicate quickly and effectively, so they can down bosses with ease.
Sir?
What is it, Rodface?
We have a UGT server too, sir! We got it from UGT-servers.com!
What? Why wasn't I invited?
Well, Arthur said you were too cheery, and he's concerned that your malleable goo will stain the carpet.
Your guild is a community, and communities want to stay in touch. Whether you're in an intense arena match, an epic raid, or just hanging out and shooting the breeze, you need an always-on Ventrilo server from UGT-servers.com. Crystal clear quality, low latency, and of course, low prices. UGT-servers.com are so good, they should be considered an exploit. Get yours today. Yes, indeed, folks. Listen to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Ha ha! Yes. I don't know why. Why would you do that? Ha ha! I suppose it's Pirate Please, or perhaps Blue Pirate. Who knows? Arr, ladies and gentlemen. Arr, you'll be listening to Blue Plz here on. Actually, wait a minute. That's Cornish Farmer, please. Ha! Get it away from me. Right. Okay. Let's talk about how much I suck at Sindragosa. Yes. It's kind of sad, isn't it? So, a discussion was had. And that discussion was had on a show that I rather like called Octel and Hordak vs. the World. It's on VTWProductions.com. And occasionally they talk about raiding and such like that. Very cool. So, I thought that I would follow up on this topic because they got a very nice discussion on their forums, which are very cool, and you should go check them out, regarding the concept of lethal boss mechanics. Yes, indeed, lethal boss mechanics. So, I shouldn't really have to explain to you exactly what a lethal boss mechanic is, but I'm going to anyway. Lethal boss mechanics, ladies and gentlemen, boss mechanics that kill you, like right then and there. So, I like to make some examples. There are some examples of really lethal boss mechanics. If you've been playing God of War 3, there are certain things that just will kill you outright. Generally speaking, they're rather easy to avoid, but they will kill you if you don't get the hell out of the way of them. Which to me is, as far as I'm concerned, entirely reasonable. Now, the problem that I currently have is that a lot of normal modes right now, in fact, possibly all of the normal modes, simply do not have lethal boss mechanics. No, they do not. That, to me, is a problem. So, here's how you construct a proper lethal boss mechanic. You make it so that it's got to tell, yeah? So, in other words, people need to know when it's coming. It's got to have some kind of obvious tell, maybe an audio file, some kind of movement, some kind of casting effect, and of course raid warning messages and things like that. So it's got to have that. Secondly, it's got to be easily avoidable, assuming you know what you're doing. So no crappy gimmicks that are just here or there. It's got to be, I can avoid it 100% of the time by doing this. Yeah? By doing this, I can avoid the mechanic. Simple as that. And I will live! And that's good, isn't it? You want to live, surely. Now, there are other mechanics that you can't avoid, and those are non-lethal boss mechanics. That's fine. Something like constant raid damage. Things like the ability to... Let's think of an example. It's a couple. Let's talk about some non-lethals. Non-lethal boss mechanics. Right now. Rotface. Yeah? Rotface non-lethals include stuff like the spray. Includes stuff like the slime at the side. Includes stuff like being hit by oozes. Those have got to be non-lethal boss mechanics, because otherwise it's stupid. But which of those three, ladies and gents, has to be non-lethal? Well, there's a couple of them that do, but there's one of those three mechanics I've just mentioned that could be lethal. And by being lethal would make the fight better. So, here's the question. How? Which one is it? I'll give you a guess. Let's have a quiz. A quiz live in the chat room. Those of you on cam, it's a visual gimmick, folks. Those of you on cam, get a piece of paper, and I want you to write the correct answer to this. It's going to either be A, B, or C. Which of these mechanics should be a lethal boss mechanic? Is it A, the slime at the side? Is it B, the slime spray from Rotface? Or is it C? Yes, indeed. Is it C, the green oozes? Write your answers on a piece of paper right now and put it in the cam window on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed. A, B, or C, ladies and gents. Tell me the answer. Now, in the meantime... Actually, there isn't really anything in the meantime, is it? These guys need to hurry the hell up. We're getting answers right now. There we go. Yes, there we go. B, B, B. Omega has to make it a B. There you go. See, everyone says B. Yes, that is correct. You all win amazing, fantastic prizes. Well, maybe not. Actually, I do have a couple of amazing, fantastic prizes. Why don't I give them away at the end of the show? Yes. I'll have to wait. So, okay, those three mechanics. One of those should be a lethal boss mechanic. Which one? It's the one that, it's got to fulfill the criteria that I mentioned earlier to be a proper lethal boss mechanic. No, it's not C, you fool. Right, 1. It has to have a tell. 2. It has to be reliably avoidable. And 3. It has to kill you. Okay. So, does it have a tell? Yes. It's got a casting time, it's got an animation, and it's good. Yeah? In that respect, it works. 2. Is it completely avoidable on a reliable basis? Yes. Yes, it is. And that's fine. Now, 3. It should kill you. Now, there's where you run into a problem. With this boss mechanic, if you make that lethal, then you kill any tank that accidentally runs in front of it. That's bad. So, here's what you do to fix it. Yeah? You can alter the mechanic to make the slime spray lethal again. So, you put a range element into it, as in, the further away you are, the less damage it does. So it is lethal within the range that the raid should be in. Yeah? But it's non-lethal outside of that. That makes sense. That would work. So, why do I say that that should be a lethal boss mechanic? Because right now, it is a trivial boss mechanic. Here's the problem. If a boss mechanic doesn't add something meaningful and dangerous to the fight, then it shouldn't even be there to begin with. Now, on harder modes, of course, and indeed I would imagine slime spray on hard modes probably hits like a frickin' truck. Am I right? That's the question. Am I right? Certainly should be. Now, right now it doesn't. In fact, to the point where you can stand in the slime spray and it doesn't matter unless your healers are awful. Therein lies the problem. That's why the mechanic does not matter. Other mechanics that don't matter that should be lethal. The fire orbs on the princes. Yeah? On the blood princes, you've got fire orbs that reduce in damage as long as they pass through or near other people before they hit their intended target. Now, in an ideal situation, you would have to block, you would have to move, and you would have to ensure that the damage was reduced. But, in normal modes, you don't have to. So it's a non-lethal boss mechanic to the point where it is a waste of space. Honestly, it is pointless. It might as well not be there at all. It's a little extra hassle for the healers and nothing else. It doesn't add anything meaningful to the fight. Now, if you want to talk about the travesty of lethal to non-lethal, then you need only look at Naxxramas. Naxxramas was the prime example of ruining an instance by taking out lethal boss mechanics and replacing them with declawed non-lethal. Prime example, Hygen the Unclean. You know what used to happen when you failed the dance, ladies and gentlemen? So if you were dancing here, and up, and down, and around to the side, and getting on your funky disco, then you'd be fine. However, if you did not, then you would die! You would be dead! However, not anymore, ladies and gentlemen. You don't even have to move all that quickly. You can be hit like 3 or 4 or even 5, and of course 5 or 6 now, thanks to the gear that you currently have. Buy this thing and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And why would they? Because it's a declawed, previously lethal, but now non-lethal boss mechanic. Of course, that's not all. Let's talk about a few other things. Let's talk about something that used to be a lethal boss mechanic. Something that's always got under my skin. You remember XT002? What the hell was it called? The temparic or tymponic tantrum, whatever the case. Okay. What about that? What about the tantrum? The tantrum used to do 100% damage. As in, it would kill you unless it was healed. Guaranteed. Not anymore. They nerfed that too. So it doesn't kill you anymore. Was it like 120%? Whatever the case. It would kill you unless it was healed. Now, it doesn't. So, it's pointless. It becomes a simple, oh look, hey, raid damage, woo! Whoopity frickin' do. More raid damage, just what we always wanted. That's nonsense. And you know what? It made the fight more annoying. In the terms of, it's too easy. So, why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm bringing this up, ladies and gents, because I have had a few encounters with Sindragosa. Yes, indeed. The guild is on Sindragosa and we're working on it, and it is the dullest frickin' fight. Oh, let me just tell you about this. Bad fights include any fight whereby the first 2 phases are incredibly easy and take about 8 minutes, and then the third phase is like, oh god, what's happening? Ah, fire! No. That's bad. Because that means every time you wipe, you gotta do 8 minutes of that again. Give or take. It's like that stupid... I remember back in the day, Kalefast, prime example of terrible. First 2 or 3 phases, easy. Really easy. The only phase that was remotely hard, and this was the one you had to learn, was phase 4, which means if you wiped on phase 4, guess what, ladies and gents? Phase 1, 2, and 3 all over again. And it took ages, and it made me want to kill myself. Oh, God. Terrible. A total waste of time. And you might think, oh, well, 8 minutes isn't a lot. TotalBiscuit, you're whining about nothing. I'll tell you why it's a lot. 8 minutes and then 30 seconds of actual gameplay while progressing is awful. So let's have a look. 8 minutes plus maybe 2 minutes getting back in there, getting all sorted out, maybe another minute buffing, maybe discuss a few more tactics. So in total, the downtime to actual progress is about 12 minutes. So every 1 minute of actual progress, you are got about 12 minutes of nonsense on that fight. Why? Because of that. Those phases 1 and 2 are awful. Phases 1 and 2, too easy. Phase 3, crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's not properly balanced at all. So how do you balance it? Well, I was kind of annoyed at myself for a few things. So I kept getting hit and dying by those stupid bloody ice bombs. I will freely admit it. I have awful depth perception. Awful. Like, really, really bad. I could hold something in front of my face and I wouldn't even know it was there. Honestly. That's terrible. So I kept dying on that stuff. I learned it eventually, but it's embarrassing, really embarrassing. But what bothered me more so than anything is that I had to get hit by it so many times. It's like I had to fail 3 times in a row to die to that thing. I should be dead straight away. Now, here's the thing. You take that fight, 8 minutes. How about you condense it to 4 and make it way more intense? What's the problem with that? How about you make those ice bombs lethal? Completely lethal. And I'm talking about normal modes here. So, some people will argue that, that's what normal modes are. Normal modes are, hey, here's loads of margin for error, here's loads of leeway one way or the other, and it's fine. But I disagree. I know, hard modes are like, hey, look, lethal. Woo. Lethal boss mechanics. Crazy, crazy. Why can't we have it in normal modes? Because otherwise, it's just dull. You can't focus properly, for one thing. I've already explained the concept of why binary hard modes are a bad thing. You've got 2 difficulty levels in binary hard modes. You've got easy and hard. No normal. You would complain horribly if a video game, any other video game, had easy and hard. It's like saying God of War 3 has mortal and God. That's a terrible idea, because for most people, mortal is too easy. Yet for most people, God is too hard. That's why you have like 4 difficulty levels in that. Not 2, 4. So right now, got a state where the normal modes are just, whereas the hard modes are just, Yes, also a visual gimmick. That's bad. What you need is, you need to make sure that your normal modes also have a taste of that lethality. Those lethal boss mechanics have got to come back in there. Because you know what? I'll tell you this. I focus better if I know I am going to die if I screw up hard. Really. I'm going to die. I'm going to wipe the raid. It helps hone my skill. And it makes sure that I've got the pressure on me and the stress that keeps me sharp. It's good. And people learn better that way. And for God's sake, if you're going to make a fight like Sindragosa, just make it more dangerous and half the time that it takes to get to phase 3, because good lord. It's like hitting a cliff face, like phase 1, phase 1, phase 1, phase 1, phase 2, phase 2, phase 3, bang! Straight into a cliff wall. Horrendous. My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. People have been demanding a certain track, and I'm going to play it. Will I play the radio edit? Absolutely not, ladies and gents. Camelot, March of Mephisto. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks, listen to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Yeah. Right, so, WoW TCG. Odd topic. Some people don't care, some people do, but the future of the WoW TCG has been in doubt for quite some time. However, things have changed, things have got a little bit simpler, and it looks like a company called Cryptozoic is picking it up. Interesting stuff. Now, apparently, the guys behind Cryptozoic were also involved in the creation of the WoW TCG initially. Got a guy who, let's have a look, I believe a few of them were actually involved in Upper Deck and things like that. It's good stuff, one way or the other. So, the question is, why should we care about the WoW TCG, if at all? And is it odd that one would create a game around another game? Now, some people might not find this section all that entertaining, and I'm sorry, but I really like board games, and I really like CCG, and you know what, if I can tie it to World of Warcraft, then damn right I will. Absolutely. So, Let's talk about it. So here's how the WoW TCG used to work, and indeed still does. So the neat mechanic behind the WoW TCG is that you had a hero, and that hero could be any one of the classes within World of Warcraft, and it had special abilities. Now, there were various different kinds of hero that had different kinds of abilities available to them. So I used to play a deck which was what was it? It was a Elemental Shaman. That was it. And Elemental Shaman had its own cards. Now, there were cards which could only be used by certain classes. So, say, a Lightning Bolt can only be used by a Elemental Shaman, or indeed a Shaman. There were certain abilities that could only be used by certain things. So, like, what was it? Some healing ability could only be used by a Resto Shaman and things like that. And that was kind of intriguing, and to be honest, the cool thing about the WoW TCG is that not only was it a good TCG in its own right, but they tied it into the game in a way that actually made sense. It wouldn't have made sense to play it in the same way as Magic the Gathering, like play creatures, play land, play spells. The whole point of WoW is that you are playing a hero, and that hero has its own arsenal of abilities, and sometimes you'll want to bring allies along for the ride. But you could build a deck which had no allies in it at all. I wouldn't personally recommend it, but you can do it. You can build a deck entirely based around one character, and that could be a doppelganger of your character within the game, or it could be something else. And of course, you can equip it with items, and I remember having loads of fun equipping. Some of the items were kind of weird for who you could actually equip them to. The items had equipment restrictions, who they could equip to, who they couldn't, on the side of the card. Some of them were very, very odd indeed. Kind of crazy. Like druids with the Sulfuron hammer, which obviously now doesn't sound all that weird, but those days, yeah, you didn't give a druid freaking Sulfuros Hand of Ragnaros. That would just be ridiculous. But you had all of these old school weapons, which were kind of neat. I was very impressed by that. So, it's good news that this is continuing on, but I suppose the question then lies, at what point do you stop with the merch? Yeah? At what point do you stop with the merchandise and the nonsense and things like that? So, the WoW TCG originates from a time before time. It was one of the first things to come out for WoW in terms of merchandising. It came out just after BlizzCon 2005, as I recall. I remember being rather disappointed that they didn't have any at 2005, because I wanted to play it. But it came out it was relatively close to that, whatever the case. So, it came out, and it was a good quality product. And I think the reason I tolerated it was because the quality of the product was great, and two, there wasn't an awful lot of other nonsense out there. Blizzard wasn't shilling the franchise for everything they possibly could. Now, I think that's really changed at this point. The latest thing that just went up, which I've got to really disapprove of, just because it's so absurdly expensive, is the company that will produce posters or mouse mats of your WoW character. And I had a look on there because I thought, hey, that would be kind of neat. You want to know how much you pay for these things? I can't honestly remember, but I'm sure I can find it. Oh, absolutely awful. Really, really crazy prices. I mean, I'm talking like something like 18 to 20 pounds for a small mouse mat, plus shipping on top of that. Oh, God. It was absolutely horrendous, really. And it's getting to the point whereby anything they can possibly shill out as merch, they're doing it with WoW. And I get it. You know, I really do. And there's some things which are really cool, like, say, the new plush pets. They're really great quality, and you get the in-game stuff, and that's neat as well. And the books, like, say, Storm Rage, the collector's edition of that just came out by Richard A. Knack. That's fine, that's fiction. You know, all sorts of things like that, that's fine. But mouse pads, and not even that great. I mean, we're talking about mouse pads of your character. Big deal. You can make those yourself. Admittedly, of course, Blizzard is going to turn around and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, that's naughty, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, technically it is. It's copyright infringement. But at the end of the day, is Blizzard really expecting you to pay so much for a freaking mouse pad? Evidently, they are. And evidently, some people are doing that. I don't know, I think I sort of started to see it going a little bit off the rails when the figure prints came out. The idea that you could pay an absurd amount of money for a little thing of your character. But I can understand that more, honestly. I can understand that more than I can, say, buying a mouse pad of your character. You know, having a little figurine of your character sort of immortalized in a little glass bubble is sort of neat, right? I mean, it is. Let's be honest here. But a poster? I gotta wonder how crazy vain you have to be to have a poster of your own character on the wall. Seriously. That's absurd. And a mouse pad. Again, what's the point? Your mouse is all over the face of your freaking character anyway. You can't actually see anything. Now, if you were charging, $6 to $7, okay, fair enough. That's okay. That's reasonable. But I actually have it up right now. It's called printwarcraft.com. Let's go on a bit of an internet field trip right now. Go and have a look and go and see how much it costs to make a mouse pad of your character. It is obscene. It really is absolutely ridiculous. That's printwarcraft.com. Go and have a look at it. Now, with the WoW TCG, at least you're getting something that actually stands on its own 2 feet. I think this is the really important thing and the good differentiation in terms of value. Like, can the merch or can the product stand up on its own feet? Yeah? On its own feet. Can it? Can it do that? Can it stand up on its own feet on the basis of it being good in its own right? Like, those mouse pads can't. Yeah? Look at this. I mean, 10 inches by 13 inches. £23 plus shipping. That's absurd. I'm using what am I using right now? I'm using a Steel Series mousepad right here. Amazing mousepad. It costs less than that. This isn't a mousepad that actually is good. Like, it's properly treated. And my Razer Naga slides all over this thing. Makes no noise. Hear it? No, of course you don't hear it. Makes no noise. It slides beautifully. I've got absolutely fantastic control. But these things, they're just normal mousepad screen printed. I mean, what is this? Why would you buy that? That doesn't stand on its own 2 feet. The WoW TCG can be played on its own without any prior knowledge of WoW, and you'll actually have a bit of fun with it. It's when the license enhances the product rather than replaces it that it's okay. Now, I'm okay with Blizzard supporting the WoW TCG, and in fact, I would like to see it happen more often. I think that gaming around gaming is pretty positive. The idea of growing a game into something beyond just logging in and playing an MMO, that's a good thing. Yeah? And it's happened before. We've seen some rather unsuccessful attempts, but it's worked to a certain degree at any rate. Heroes of EverQuest. You remember that? You should. Heroes of EverQuest was an RTS based on the EverQuest MMO. It's crazy, isn't it? You ever heard of a game called Warcraft 3? Oh, wait. Yeah, obviously that doesn't work that way. No doubt when Warcraft 4 comes out, people are going to say, there's that game based on World of Warcraft. At which point, I will facepalm. It'll be awful. But you've got stuff like the World of Warcraft board game, the World of Warcraft Adventure board game, which I might add is not very good. I have a copy of it. It's really not great, I'm afraid. It's not a good game in its own right, and it relies far too much on the license. The Warcraft board game and the World of Warcraft board game, the big, more complex games, they're all right. I just remember trying to actually play the World of Warcraft board game, spending about 4 hours trying to learn how to play it, and I don't think we were even doing it right. It is very complicated. But I'm okay with that, because at least that is a good game in its own right, designed by a good company. Whereas the adventure game, it's pretty lousy. The TCG is probably the best piece of merch they've ever put out. With the exception of a couple of sets that were imbalanced as hell, it is a really solid, really high-quality piece of merch. And I think the thing that I like the best about it is the fact that they commissioned artists to create stuff that is in the style of World of Warcraft, but is not just using stock art. Yeah? This is why stuff like these mouse pads are nonsense. It's not even creating art for you. This is just generated from the game. Hey, look at these. Go and click on one of these. Look at the templates available. They're screenshots. They're bloody screenshots. Just look at them. Screenshots not only of your character, but of a backdrop. You could do this yourself right now. I'm not going to encourage that you do, because it's copyright infringement, but if you were so inclined, you can do it for yourself. You can take it to any number of screen printing places that will do it way cheaper. That is not a good value product, ladies and gents. It isn't. It adds nothing. You know what I think is kind of neat about the TCG? It sort of adds something to the world, because it's creating new assets, creating new art. Indeed, I believe that there are some instances of cards actually making their way into the game as actual characters, things like that. There's a little bit of interaction there. And of course, you've got the added value of the loot card system as well, whereby there's a whole bunch of new, crazy, exciting items that you can get when you get the WoW TCG. Now, you know what I'd like to see? And this was rumoured for a long time, and it hasn't happened as of yet. We hoped it would be announced. It just hasn't. But I want it to happen. The WoW TCG is a cool way to sort of play something WoW-related, but not play WoW. Now, you might ask, well, why? It's a familiar universe. It's the same reason you would read a Mass Effect novel. Why read a Mass Effect novel? It's not the game, but you want to learn a little bit more about the universe, and you're familiar, you like the universe, you want to see more of it in a different format. That's cool. WoW and Warcraft in general works that way. And indeed, you already have the opportunity to do it with Warcraft 2 and 3, which are, of course, prequels to what happens in World of Warcraft. But with the WoW TCG and the WoW novels and the WoW board game, you can expand it beyond that. And that's cool. Honestly, it really is. So, should you pick this up? Well, I like the fact that they've taken it over, honestly. It's good that they have, because I honestly love the game. I think it's really great. I would like to see an online version, because, to be honest, it's difficult to find people to play cards with a lot of the time. So, an online version would be ideal to allow people to interact in a way associated with the actual game itself, but without having to go too crazy on it, and without having to spend an awful lot of money in finding people around the area. So, yeah, best of luck to them. I would like to see what they come up with. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. Now, I do have a track by Alexander Brandon. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of it, and I would like to play it for you on the show today. It is called Severn City, and we're going to play it for you right now, and we'll be back after this to talk a little bit about why you don't deserve to be in my group. Enjoy. Yes, indeed, folks. The sounds of Alexander Brannard's Seven City. Very good indeed. Right. So I read a thread. That was a mistake. I had a look for a thread on the forums, and I was just browsing the WoW forums, as you do. Yeah, it's generally not a very good idea. Browsing the WoW forums, and along came a spider. And the spider said, I am an entitled spider. I would like to come in your group. Nay, not like, demand to come into your group. Because I am the entitled spider. You want to know where I live? I shall tell you where I live, ladies and gentlemen. I am the entitled spider. And I live in the casual web constructed of tier 9 epics. This is where I live. And along came the casual spider, and he said, gear score must be banned. Yes, gear score must be banned. And I asked the casual spider, but why, casual spider? Why must gear score be banned? And he says, because I am the casual spider, the entitled arachnid. And I say that gear score should be banned because it is stopping me from entering your group. Terrible, isn't it? So, you know what I did with that entitled spider? Oh, I stopped that entitled spider. I turned it into a pancake on the floor. And you know what? As I did so, it whined that it paid its $15 a month, and it deserved not to be stamped on by my elitist boot. The entitled arachnid. The casual spider. The evil creature. So, what does this guy have to say exactly? He created a thread saying that gear score should be banned. And as to the justification, well, simple reason. I pay my $15 a month, and I should not be kept out of groups just because of some mod. So, gear score should be banned. So, here's your first fallacy. Quote, I am being kept out of groups by some mod. No, you aren't. You are being kept out of group by two things. One, you are being kept out of the group because the group leader doesn't want you in it. Two, you are being kept out of the group because you are not properly geared for the group standard. That is what is keeping you out of the group, not the mod. It's as simple as that. So, why ban the mod? Is the mod what's stopping you there? Is it someone using some kind of leet hacks? No, it's not someone using some kind of leet hacks at all. It's not the mod stopping you. You just suck. You're stopping you. The group leader is stopping you. So, what you're basically asking is not to ban the mod, because the mod is not what stopped you from getting into the group. You're asking to ban the group leader. Okay. That's it, right? That must be it, because we have established that the mod is not what's stopping you getting in. It's the group leader. The group leader decided to use the mod as a way to gauge your particular performance and how well you are geared. He used it as a barometer in order to ensure that you were properly geared and ready for the instance in question, and that you were up to his standard, and that was the really vital thing there. So, should we ban the group leader? Really? No, we shouldn't. Because here's the thing. You pay your $15 a month. Guess what? I pay my $15 a month. You know what that means, kids? That means I get to choose who I group with. And you want to know who I'm not going to group with? You. Yes, you. I'm not going to group with you because you suck. I'm not going to group with you because my nice, convenient, easy mod, I don't use gear score, I use elitist group because it's better, my convenient mod says that you suck. Numerically, mathematically suck. Quantifiably, objectively. You could put it in a pie chart. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the acid test. Can I put your sock into a pie chart? Because if I can, then you're not getting in my group. Simple as that. You numerically are awful. So, what if there were no gear score? Oh wait, that happened already. For years, in fact, that happened. Gear score is a relatively recent invention. Yes, it is. And yes, it is acid test. Litmus test, acid test is the same freaking thing. Similar enough. So shut up, you fool in the chat room. So, it's relatively recent. This particular system of keeping people out of groups. Before that, what did they use? Well, let's have a think. What did they use before gear score? Achievements. But that was in Wrath. What did they use before that? Attunements. Yes. You have attunement, you come in. You don't have attunement, you don't come in. What did they use before that? Oh yeah, their eyes. They inspected you. They did the same thing that gear score does. Now in TBC, they were able to do that using the armory, so they could remotely look at you with their eyes. Terrifying. Look into my eyes, ladies and gentlemen. You are under my power. I am telling you, I am hypnotizing you into believing that the only way you can get into my group is if you are wearing full tier 12. Yes. That's it, isn't it? That's what these guys are complaining about. Choice. This is why these people are insidious fools. This is why these people are dangerous, venomous, toxic elements of the community. Because they want to take away freedom. You know what? I made the joke that I'm a right-wing, sort of American commentator for World of Warcraft, even though I'm not American. I sound like one right now. They're taking our jibs, ladies and gents. They are taking our freedoms. They are taking our liberties. All of these things, they are taking them. You must understand this. They're taking them. That's bad. They want theirs. It's bizarre, actually. I don't like to bring in politics, but I find this dichotomy to be rather amusing. Try this one on for size, ladies and gents. There is a idea, a phrase that is often used to describe right-wing libertarians. And it is, F you got mine. Huh? In other words, there's a British phrase that does this as well, which is significantly less, profane, let's put it that way. I'm alright, Jack. Yes, I'm alright, Jack. What does that mean? That means I've got what I want, screw everything else. Now, the irony being that these are usually the guys that come around and say, oh, big government. Big government. Taking our freedoms, taking our liberties and gerbs and witch women and nonsense like that. They're taking them. There's the problem. So, you've got the same guys as saying these two different things. Of course, these are WoW players. I don't want to apply any kind of crazed political idea to it. It's just funny. I find it amusing more so than anything else. I'm not going to go and slander any particular group, but what I'm saying is that you're the guys who say all that matters is me, me, me. Not the other 4 members in the group, not the other 9 members in the group, not the other 24 members in the group. Me. I'm the one who matters. Me, 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 me. So it's F you got mine. I'm alright, Jack. So, why exactly are you then asking for the removal of freedoms? Oh yes, I get it, because you're a selfish twat. That's why you're asking for the removal of personal freedoms from World of Warcraft. That is why you want these kind of things gone. There are people that actually supported the 15-minute kick timer. The worst thing about the random dungeon system. The absolute worst. And of course, Blizzard realised this and they got rid of it. And people screamed and cried, the humanity of it all! Yes, the humanity of it all. They removed the timer. So I have the freedom, as a member of the group, to get rid of you! Yes! I can get rid of you because there are 4 of me and 1 of you. 4 of my group say you suck. 1 of my group says, I don't suck. I want to be here. I deserve my epics just like everyone else. No, you don't. If you blow, if you suck, if you're awful, if you're terrible, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sucky and you know it and you really want to show it, then you'll spec into Frost and clap your hands. Yes, you! That's who Kick was designed to get rid of! And that is fine. Because 4 greater than 1, 9 greater than 1, 24 greater than 1. Basic Mathematics 101 here on Blue Plz on CynicalBrit.com. Do you understand? Do you understand why that's there? You know, I am fine with the idea that I have to put in a reason to get rid of someone. I think that should have been there from the get-go, quite frankly. Yes, it should. That should have been there from the get-go. Kicking someone for no apparent reason, well, that sucks. Putting in a reason, that's fine. But people just cry and whine about all of these things. Anything that could stop them getting their badges is a bad thing in their mind. Now, I wonder what they would be like if they were not in that position. Maybe they were in the position where they had the better gear and things like that. If that were the case, do you really think they would be so accepting? Do you think they would practice what they preach? These are the kind of people, the entitled casuals, the bleeding hearts, ladies and gentlemen, that come out with the idea that, oh, you should help your fellow player. Oh, you should. You should help your fellow player. You should help them learn how to be better. You should help them get better gear. No, you're not in my guild, I don't care. Absolute, complete sincerity, I don't give a damn about you, because you're not in my guild. You are here in my group for one reason only, and that's to help the rest of the group get through the instance in as quick a time as possible. Funnily enough, I don't actually enjoy the 200th run of the Oculus. It's crazy, isn't it? I don't want to be there. I'm there for one reason only, to get badges. Badges, 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 epics, epics. That's what I'm there for. That's the only reason I'm there for. I'm not here to chat with you. I'm not here to socialise with you. I'm not here to have a cuddle pile with you, or help you, or lift you up from the cesspit of failure that you are currently lounging around and basking in. That is not my job. I pay my $15 a month to play the game. And I play it right. Most of the time. Unless it's Sindragosa. In which case, I play it wrong. But every time, everything else, I play it right. Every time, on every time, I play it right. Sindragosa, exception to the rule. Proves the rule. Yeah, just explain it away. Blah, blah, blah. I play the game correctly. That's the way that the game's designed. And loads of people play the game correctly. So why are these guys saying that you shouldn't? Here's the correct way to create a group. Let's compare the right way and the wrong way. Right way to create a group. Pick a properly balanced group with the appropriately geared people who you think will get you through the instance in the shortest and most efficient amount of time possible. Fact. Okay. The way not to play the group. The way not to create it. God, I've got an itchy nose. And the problem with webcam is I can't scratch it. I am turning around in my evil chair. It's stuck. Ah! I need a proper evil chair, ladies and gents. Ah, Mr. Bond. Much better. Ugh, bloody nose, man, seriously. I don't want to be in a group with you, and the wrong way to create a group is to just pick people at random and have no expectations or standards at all. At all. That's the wrong way to do it. And that means I don't want you in my group. And if I have to use gear score, elitist group, I have to inspect you, armory you, look at your achievements, even talk to you, interview you, ask you 3 questions. What is your name? What is your quest? What is the DPS of a improperly spec'd mage? My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Plz here on CynicalBrit.com. I'll be back after this with the illusion of choice. Get your entries in for the last few minutes of the show, folks. Pick the last topic. The Murloc at CynicalBrit.com. That is the Murloc at CynicalBrit.com. And of course, one last thing. What is your profession? Who? Her? Har? I'll be right back. Enjoy. Yes, indeed, folks, it's the illusion of choice. Let's have a look at it. So I've got an interesting one here that I want to cover briefly. We're actually rapidly running out of time. Because of Deadhead savings time, Shoutcraft is an hour earlier in the UK. Yes, indeed, that's 10 p.m. GMT. About half an hour after finish the show. Not really a lot of time to recoup, ladies and gents. I incidentally hope that you will all stick around for Shoutcraft. I would strongly recommend it. It will be linked on our front page. It will also be available at tinyearl.com/shoutcraft. You can go there, and I think we're just doing a few tests in a minute. It's going to be amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Really, it is absolutely unbelievable. It's going to be really great. We're giving away a beta key tonight. It's going to be fantastic, so you definitely want to... You're going to want to be there. Let me just put it that way. So please come and watch Shoutcraft with myself and Emperor. You will love it. Even if you're not really into esports, I will guarantee that by the end of the show, you're going to be a bit into esports. That's our whole point. We want to really try and get you into it. So, let's have a look at the illusion of choice. This one comes from Tier Elite Hacksaw, and he says this: Biscuit is total as Grand Vizier of Opinionation. Since the meat of WoW's content is for a mere 25 players, is it really massive anymore? Even Wintergrass was reduced from truly massive to limited to 40 aside, and nowadays the only massive part of the game is the materials farming area and the home cities. Is WoW becoming simply an MMORPG, as opposed to massively multiplayer online RPG, and could it benefit from raids which scale fluidly up to the maximum technical limit of a few hundred? Well, for one thing, the maximum technical limit technically is a few hundred, but in reality, you're not going to be able to put together anything that performs well at that rate with current technology. Their netcode just isn't up to par. Bear in mind, it's running on like 8-9-year-old engine at least. I've got to think it was a modified version of the Warcraft 3 engine. Heavily modified, but still, it's the same engine at the very core. So, it's pretty damn old. Now, what you're asking for really is something that actually works. This is Blizzard. What's the biggest area that you know of in WoW right now? Dalaran. Does it work for most of the population? As in, can I play it? Can I choke my guts out at even thinking about it? Yes, I can. Now, I can play it, because I've got a really, really, really crazy, nice computer. But most people can't do Dalaran without lagging. There's a few hundred people in Dalaran at any given time, so please, can you tell me exactly how you would create an area where something is happening other than sitting around on a horse? Explain that to me. I remember Wintergrass Black. Wintergrass Black, the entire server! It was awful! Do you not remember? I remember what Wintergrass used to do. I was calling for Wintergrass to be removed. Just get rid of it until they fix it. Now, you might think that was an extreme solution, but yeah, you're damn right it was an extreme solution. I couldn't raid. That was a big deal. Raiding's the main content, Wintergrasp is just a side game. Now, the funny thing about MMORPGs is that a lot of people say, oh, well, in order for it to be an MMORPG, you have to have massive grey areas, and it's going to have hundreds of people. All you need, really, is the ability to interact with a person at any given time. That's the thing. You get a persistent world. So on your server, you might have 5,000 or 6,000 people. You could go in there and theoretically meet any one of them without having to do anything special. That's what makes it an MMORPG. You can walk into a city, and another dude can walk into a city, and you will see each other. You will not be instanced. You will not have to log into a different server in order to do it. If you're on the same realm as some dude, you walk there, and he's right there. That's what makes it a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. You don't have to have content that requires hundreds of people to beat in order for it to be massive. That's all you need. This ability to simply walk into a town and see another dude there that's also logged into the game and not have anything stopping you from doing so. I mean, if anything, the idea of phasing and instancing is contrary to the base elements of an MMORPG, yet it's become essential simply from a mechanical perspective. You don't have to then turn around and say, oh, well, in order for this to be massive, we must have a raid that requires 300 people. No, it's nonsense. It doesn't work from a mechanical perspective, and you don't need it. That's the point. Now, I'm sorry for the short answer, but we really are running very, very, very low on time. So quick shout-outs, folks. Email the Murloc at cynicalbrit.com with your shout-out. Last couple minutes of the show. Alternatively, you can send me a message in IRC. Just right-click, I think you right-click my name, or maybe double-click. Yeah, double-click my name and click send private message on the video chat. That will send me a shout out. Alternatively, you can message me on irc.quakenet.org or you can tweet me. So go right ahead and we'll get that done for the last few minutes of the show. Can we get a shout out to B-Drone for being awesome? Yes, indeed. He is our resident cam whore on our video chat. It's very cool indeed. Indeed, I'm actually right next to him right now. Now, you see the lighting on me is pretty bad. It makes me look absurdly white, whereas B-Drone is certainly black. So it's a really crazy comparison between the two of us here. Like, we could do a comedy cop duo, I feel, to be honest. I could be the cool, smarmy, white boy but utterly unstreetwise detective with my awesome hat. And he could be the pimpin' Shaft-style dude who goes around beating stuff up and spouting cool one-liners. He could be awesome. That would be awesome. TB and B-Drone, cops on the beat, or something along those lines. Whatever. Yes, it works. Can we have a shout out to the hat video chat we had going on today? Yes, indeed. Everyone is wearing a hat in video chat. It's awesome. It's Stukov at 961 says that. Actually, no, he didn't. That was actually a mega hair. A shout out to Stukov the Retired of Sporagar EU, the worst server ever. That's from Stukov, of course. And a shout out to my girlfriend for enjoying the delicious steak I just made. That's from Gateau. You should have eaten it yourself. A shout out to Saracen and his dog, who is cute. Yes, indeed, he is. What else have we got here? We have a few of them, yes. Shout out to Versus the World, Senjin US, for being absolutely insane and making me into the guild as a noob. Times 27 exclamation points at the back of it. A shout out to OMG, it's Jay, and a shout out to Angelo Blink Blink. That's from Onin. A shout out to Killing the Lich King in 10 Man. That's from Nymph. And a shout out to Krista, who I got to listen even though she doesn't play World of Warcraft. You're making ears bleed one person at a time. Ha ha ha. Yes, indeed. A couple of quick shout outs as well. A shout out to Drizzt061 and RS Painbringer. Oh yes, that's from Slizer88, and one more, ladies and gents, and then I really have to go and get ready for the show for Shoutcraft, and you better stick around, it's going to be awesome. A shout out to Coriolis, Straz, US, and all the new listeners I got from Trade Chat today, that's from Zoe. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening, you have been awesome, as always. I will see you later on for Shoutcraft, please stick around for that, and good night. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, WoW's #1 shock jock show, only on CynicalBrit.com. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a comment on the Cynical Brit website or write a review of the show on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.